Israel says it's begun yet another wave of airstrikes across the Iranian capital. Explosions have been heard in Tehran. Other parts of the country have also come under attack. An airstrike destroyed this residential building in the city of Urmia in northwestern Iran. Rescue crews are trying to look for survivors buried under the rubble. They've also recovered bodies there. Urmia is the largest city in Iran's West Azerbaijan province and is near the border with Turkey and Iraq. And this was the scene after a series of airstrikes on Khorramabad in western Iran. People there are reporting widespread damage and destruction. The area is home to several prehistoric sites that are on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Well, joining us from Tehran is Abbas Aslani. He's a senior research fellow at the Center for Middle East Strategic Studies. Abbas, always good to have you with us. So let's start with Iran is saying a cost has to be paid for this war. But of course, much of that cost is already being paid by Gulf Arab states who are being relentlessly attacked by Iran. So when this war does end, Abbas, how will Iran rebuild back trust with its neighbours? Many of them have already said trust with Iran has been completely destroyed.
Well, I think what Iran is trying to argue is that the security of the regional countries cannot happen at the cost of the security of the other, meaning that if Iran is insecure, that will bring insecurity to other countries because, you know, those countries have had cooperation with the United States since the past, and they have been recently giving airspace and territory to the United States to initiate aggression against the country. And Tehran is saying that, you know, even a number of those countries have been, you know, providing financial resources to the United States. And that's why I think Iran's parliament speaker just recently said that those providing, you know, financial resources to the United States and military are also legitimate target. And he also referred to the bonds market, and which indicates that the economic aspect is not just limited to the oil market, but also buying bonds also is another important, and this market also can be impacted as a result of this situation. So, but for sure, you know, the relations between Tehran and those regional countries has been impacted as a result of the ongoing situation. And when this is over, naturally, I think it's going to be very difficult to amend those relations. However, I think being neighbors for good, I think the two sides will need to find solutions to at least to coexist and to improve the relations in the longer run. But this doesn't mean that it's not going to be challenging.
OK, and yes, we've heard this escalating rhetoric, haven't we, from President Trump saying he'll obliterate Iran's power plants, and Iran in return saying they'll attack power plants of US regional allies, Gulf Arab states. I mean, what can we read into this rhetoric, Abbas? Is this all about both sides trying to establish longer-term strategic objectives here?
Well, it's got two aspects, I think. One is that Trump is fed up with Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz. It seems that his administration approached this war with a mentality that this is going to be a short-term one, but maybe through decapitating they can collapse the system. This didn't happen. They were saying that Iran could not close the Strait of Hormuz. Later, they said that they could escort tankers. It didn't happen. And then they ask for help from other countries. Now Trump is threatening with striking those energy infrastructure, which is a kind of, let's say, maybe admission that Strait of Hormuz cannot open militarily, and that's why he is threatening the country with, you know, infrastructure strikes, which could somehow bring a new escalation to the ongoing war. And the second aspect is that maybe Trump, as a result of lack of a, let's say, strategic victory in this, you know, war, is trying to manufacture a victory image in order to find enough ramp from this situation.
So how much leverage, then, does Iran really have with the Strait of Hormuz? And what role is the issue of energy and oil supply likely to play in terms of reaching some kind of deal with the Americans to end the war?
Well, initially, the perception here in Tehran was that if they close the Strait of Hormuz, But as they're saying that, they're controlling it in a smart manner, meaning that those who are in good terms with Iran can pass through this waterway, and those who are not, meaning the United States, Israel, and their allies, cannot go through this strait. The initial take was that the longer this conflict goes on, the bigger the consequences will be. And as we speak, there are some, let's say, calculations that in a week or more, the oil prices are expected to increase and rise significantly. That's Trump is giving a 2-day ultimatum to Iran to open the strait. But it is not just Iran is not just relying on the Strait of Hormuz. This is part of a multi-layered and multi-stage conflict that has had other aspects. If new front opens, it can include Bab el-Mandab, Suez Canal. Also, Iran in the military battle has been trying to open a multi-front war of attrition against the United States.
Okay.
And to outlast their operational patience.
Just to take you back, Abbas, to a point you were making, I mean, both the US and Israeli leaders seem surprised that the Iranian leadership has not yet capitulated in this war, despite many of its political and military leaders being killed. What would victory then look like for Iran? I mean, presumably, if the regime just survived this war, they would say it's a win.
Well, in week 4 of the conflict, we are seeing that Iran is not exhibiting any sign of surrender or strategic defeat, but it has shifted from, its operational posture from fight for its survival to, let's say, to secure a long-term strategic interest and turning that immediate threat into strategic opportunities. Meaning that Iran wants to establish a security arrangement in order to guarantee that there will be no future aggression against the country. Additionally, Iranian foreign minister said that freedom of navigation needs freedom of trade, meaning that Iran wants to use also the current situation as a leverage to somehow relatively lift the sanctions against the country and to get more, let's say, compromises from the other side. So from the fight for the survival, now we are seeing that Tehran is demanding a new security arrangement as well as lifting of the sanctions.
Abbas, let me get a final thought from you. I mean, you're there in the Iranian capital, Tehran. You've heard the explosions. You've seen the damage. We also have seen pictures of the destruction here. We see it every day on Al Jazeera. How is the war and the ongoing airstrikes affecting ordinary Iranians coming up now to a month into the war?
Well, in the last week, we have been seeing that those bombings and strikes have been targeting specifically civilian neighborhoods or areas. And it seems that, beyond the military battle, the issue of the societal resilience also is important. And maybe through those, the take here in Tehran is that Israel and the United States somehow want to impact that resilience through intimidation or targeting those civilian infrastructure in a way to bring instability and chaos to the country and to in parallel to the assassinations they have conducted recently to create a vacuum and to create a sense of, let's say, chaos, instability, and in a manner that can impact the resilience and make the country somehow change its posture in the ongoing conflict.
Abbas Aslani from the Center for Middle East Strategic Studies. Many thanks for your time, sir. Thank you. Meanwhile, the US has stepped up its threats against Iran over the Strait of Hormuz, a key waterway that Tehran has effectively